Well, hello everybody, and apparently Wigwag got in here earlier, but he is not now here. So hopefully he's gotten uh, fairly fed because he said he would come back after the show starts or after his supper. So hopefully he has gotten well fed. And let's go back to comments and let's see. We'll pop out the chat. So we can do what needs to be done. Now, theoretically, I might be finishing up with the bobber boxcar. But we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, we shall see. Might not be able to talk properly and all that, but here we are. Well, hello there, Curly. Thank you for coming in. And let's see. So we got, I guess we have a new function now called headlines. As you can see underneath my name, I got I guess what they call the show headline. So, well, hello there, John Bonacci and Dan's Model Railroading Journey. Thank you for coming in. All right. I guess it's time to switch over cameras. Let's see. Ta-da! All right. Switch over the camera. Now, it seems that my computer is a little on the not quite happy side. It's a lot of the CPU is pinged to the, at 100%. So hopefully that doesn't cause too much issue. All right. So, hey, Rail Artists, thank you for coming in. All right. So right now we're still working on the roof. Let's put this over here. And we're gonna turn around and flatten it out a little bit so we can add the roof walks. And we'll go from there. Let's put this out of the way. Project for next time. Now, one of the things I'm planning in the future is it's one of those things of projects are never done. And it's a project I'm going to revisit and modify on. Well, John, it's one of those things of we each have our methodology when it comes to workbenches. I try unsuccessfully to make it clean like you see on some professional ones and all that, like Luke Town and all that, but I unfortunately have a hard time doing that. All right, there was a reason why this was over here. Because last time we cut things so it would be on par for the roof walks. That's part of the roof walk, that's part of the roof walk, and that's part of the roof walk. These are not part of the roof walk. All right, now to put glue down so we can add the roof walks. And what I might wind up probably doing off screen is finishing painting this to make it look more like that. Yeah, it looks definitely well worked on. But it is one of those things of probably after this project might clean everything up to make room for a new project. One project I'm going to see about doing for my Cab Crew Wednesday premiere is getting my layout fully up and running again. Basically, I had it up and running and then had to turn around and add switch throws underneath, and that required disassembling said layout. So that has not been running for a while. But now I got half of it up and running. Actually, let me go up here. So that was my plan for my Cab Crew Wednesday thing, is to actually have it up and running and, try to do something along the lines of an operating session. All right. But yeah, I got half the layout done. Since the layout's only 8 foot long, that means 4 foot is done. And from there, we'll get the other 4 foot done. Now that I got all the kinks out of the first section of the layout finished, now I can go and concentrate on the second half. And one of the challenges of doing this, actually adding the power leads to the layout, is I wound up buying a drill that was the perfect size and realizing that I didn't have a drill that had a chuck size that large, which was annoying. But I was able to politely borrow one from work. And it was basically wound up that the cleanup and actually drilling the 2 holes and all that, and it was actually the cleanup that took the longest because there was only 2 holes. Okay, get that close. Hello there, back, Wigwag. Thank you for coming. I'm assuming you're well fed. Yeah, one of the things I'm slowly learning is how to not necessarily start the live stream earlier, but to. So that's that size. So we need 5 more of these. Learning more and more how to properly, sort of kind of promote the channel, and very much appreciate the following that I have gotten over the months. Actually, one thing I did today, which I haven't done in a long time, is wound up chasing a train today on the Vermont Railway. Haven't really been doing train chasing in a while because, well, I'm just not really in the mood for modern equipment. However, I was coming home and I was getting ready to pull into the driveway, and all of a sudden I'm seeing Vermont Railway, crossing the just behind the Arlington Rail Station going through, and I'm like, let's instead of going home and preparing for this, let's go and chase it. And I was surprised on how fast it was actually going, because I normally see the trains go through the area really, really slow. And but also usually a lot longer. It was an odd train because it had 5 locomotives on the front, and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be a long train. And I don't think it had 20 cars on it. It was a very short train. So I'm assuming they were moving some of the power from well, hello there, Heath. Thank you for coming in. Who's doing Sidetrack Sunday today? And I think it looks like Kyle Stevens came in. And I think that's everyone that's currently now on. But yeah, it was sort of interesting also finding out that while chasing the train, that there's not that many spots to actually pull off and do the appropriate things. Nuts, that's about 2 millimeters too short. So we gotta go this way. And yeah, there's one spot where they actually have to really slow down because they literally go through a it's a combination lumber yard slash lumber. Let's see, the lumber yard's on one side, and then on the main side is where the main offices for the hardware store is. And the hardware store, parts of it was the original Manchester Center depot. So it's one of those things of, technically they can, have passenger service, but right now the former station has a lot of large wood products on it. So it can be done, but it requires it to get rid of the hardware store. They actually have everything is there, for the original station. Obviously, it has been modified over the years. The dormitory that was for the for the station master. That is gone. So that's why when I was first looking at it, going like, well, it looks like a station, but there's parts missing. So it might not be the station. And I found out that, yes, it is the station. And the dormitory on the top was leaking. So they put in a skylight. That was when the Rutland Railroad still owned it. And then that was leaking. So they turned around, they put a skylight in it towards the end, and it was still leaking. And so the hardware store turned around and got rid of everything. So it's just a solid, I guess the apartment's still up there, but they don't use, I think they might use it for storage or something like that. But other than that, okay, we have that done. Now let's go add a brake wheel. As you can see, that's what I used for the brake wheel for this. And I added, wound up cutting off part of the part of the removal stuff that you take apart. So let's see how long that is. Take a quick peek at the chat. Split Rock has come in. Thank you for coming in. Ooh, Nissy's hosting. That's good to know. I would have to say she did pretty good for, she's doing pretty good for hosting, even though she doesn't have the confidence. And thank you, Railars, for instructing people to hit the like button. That's another thing that I have a I don't want to say a hard time doing. It's just that I just keep on forgetting to say, hey, hit the like button. Because this, I know Heath was the one that was the one that encouraged me to start this YouTube channel. And what had happened is that after I started the YouTube channel, I was unemployed at the time, and I did something silly and got employed. So I haven't really been concentrating on my YouTube career. All right, let's see now. All right, that's 2 over. So we'll put this one 2 over. Let's see if we can sort of match height on the. Hey, I got it pretty good. All right, now we got that. Now we need to find a pin. Go stash here. That's underneath the table. And the reason why I don't have it on the table is because, well, eventually the layout is going here-ish. Like if it actually wound up being on screen. Not that. Not that. Yeah, it's one of the things that I should have had it out and ready instead of looking for it. All right. There's the pins. Grab said pin. And now we look for a brake wheel. Brake wheel, brake wheel, brake wheel. That's not a brake wheel. This has brake wheels. All right. Get it over there for now. And one of the things that when you wind up buying a lot of Congoino models like this, you usually get a lot of extra titchy parts. So, if I remember, oh, hello there, Oopa Dodge. Thank you for coming in. I know you usually can't get in can't get in here because of family matters. So I really appreciate you coming in. Give if you see the rest of the family, give them a good a polite hug from me. We slowly widen this out so we can get the pin in. This sometimes works, sometimes it does not. It's the first time I'm doing this while it's still on the sprue, which made drilling a lot easier. All right, drilled that one out. Now let's drill. I think the large one might be too large. Yeah, that drill's too large. So we'll stick with this one. Slowly clean that out. Now it is a challenge to put the pin through the hole because what you're going into is almost the same size. What Chris wound up using is just the normal pin. I'm not quite sure where he got it from. But there we go. Slowly put it in. And the initial idea on it is that it didn't come out straight, but the original idea is that when you made the kits, is that the kits would wind up having small holes for like the nut and bolt washers and stuff like that. And what would happen is that we'd use the pins to punch out all the little extra holes and all that. Like from here. Oh, it's the extra one. You want the one that's pre-painted. Basically to punch out all the little itty bitty holes. Bring that out. And we'll poke this through. And then we'll figure out where to put it on the model. But I would have to say before doing these models from Congoino, I never put wooden kits together before. So, I tried it out. They seemed to go together okay. So I just kept on doing it. So I've been supporting Chris for buying stuff and all, for buying his stuff and all that. Bought a bunch of buildings from him. Early on, he had if you bought a certain amount and all that, he added another very, very small building. All right, I need to put that down there. First, we'll do this just to get the pin through. And continue to push that down farther. All right. So let me double check the chat because I'm pretty sure I'm way behind by now. Rick is here. Thank you for coming, Rick. In Split Rock. See, at this point, let's see. All we're missing now is Nissy, Ray, and John. The other John, not the John that's over here. Schuylkill Valley. But it's one of those things of, I know that, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there. So there's a good chance that they're watching another channel. That was one of the things that for the longest time, I couldn't really watch. I still usually don't watch Sparky's because his live streams were sort of interfering with ones that I was watching at the same time. All right, so now we got that. We got that. That. Now we need super glue. All right, I know I got super glue around here somewhere. It's one of the disadvantages of using the small super glue things is that they easily get lost. But let's see. It looks like I might have to actually break one out just to turn around and get this done. There we are. Of course, it's right behind something that I couldn't see. All right. This is actually a new one. So I'm not sure where the old one went. All right, well, we'll go this way then. All right. All right. Looks like I have to tighten this up just a bit to puncture the foil. Oh, hear that? So I punctured the foil. So now let's see. Hopefully you can't hear that, but my phone has gone off, but that's in a different room. So it will eventually go to voicemail. All right, that's a little overkill. Let's see if we can take some of this off. I'm assuming you couldn't hear it because it is far away. All right. this brake wheel all the way to the end. All right. Now, let's not drop it. And we'll put this, let's see, in line with that. And it's sort of kind of straight with the top. Top there. Down there. Now these cars are not made after any specific prototypes. But they do use the common setup of what was used at the time. I'm surprised that's flopping around there. I thought I had that pretty well solid, but I guess not. So I guess I'll put super glue on it now. Sort of like on the hiding underneath. This one's, yeah, these are solid. All right, it's just a smidge more glue to keep it from going all over the place. I'm assuming once I repaint that, it'll be all nice and solid. And after everything dries, I'm going to have to weigh the thing. And where is my scale? Ah, here it is. I knew it's right here. Now, basically, I got a very cheap scale from, I believe it was Aldi's. It was one of their seasonal things. Aldi's is a nice place to get stuff, but unfortunately, it's one of those places that if you see something in Aldi's, get it right then and there, because there's a good chance that it won't be there for long. Unless it's a staple like milk or cheese and stuff like that. But if it's something like this, it's usually only there for a short time. In fact, the lights that I'm using to light everything up is a set of lights that I picked one up, and then once I realized that it doesn't interfere with the cameras, I wound up buying a whole bunch of them for using as cameras or for lighting, because the lights that I rather have, unfortunately, interfere with the cameras. London is causing. Yeah, it's one of those things of Rick. I would have to say it's more of not necessarily putting away for a week, but just not having the ambition to continue on off camera. So that's the reason why it stays there for a whole week, because I don't touch it. But one of the interesting things is that I think there's a good possibility that the second section podcast, their stickers, is that I think they're actually HO scale, because there's Rick in HO scale, and that looks like it, it looks HO scale to me. So that's sort of kind of interesting. But yeah, probably also should get a more proper sticker backing, or I'm not sure what it's called, but I know a lot of the machinist channels, usually have a board dedicated to all the stickers that they get from the different machinist channels, and I think woodworkers also do it also. But all right, now waiting for super glue to dry. But what I've been using lately for weighing cars, especially box cars because they're enclosed, I wound up buying a bag of aquarium gravel. This was so I can turn around and make sort of like streams, streams like this, where using the aquarium pebbles to turn around and make them for streams. And since I have still a lot of this aquarium gravel, I've been using it to weigh boxcars, because boxcars are empty, and if I have them with the doors closed, no one's going to see them. Let's see. All right, that should be off. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up in the camera. There, and then this one's already pre-weighted, so it's at 2.4. I think it's supposed to be 2.5 or 2.4. It's close enough. I haven't added the couplers on this yet. Let's see, does that actually make a... No, that doesn't make any weight to it. I mean, there is weight to it, but it doesn't really kick over the scale. It's not a very high precision scale, but it's close enough to what I'm doing. All right, so start add some rocks. Just happened to realize I got all this stuff on top of my clocks that I keep nearby, so I know when to wander off to the next one. For switching, slightly heavier is better. All right, that's good to know. Now we're up to 1 ounce. Trying to do this without spilling everything in the car. I would have to say, even with the all right, 2.1. 2.3. Of course, after I need to clean everything up, I need to turn around and take a good vacuum cleaner to the workbench before starting the next one. All right, that's 2.4. Should be good enough. Now, another thing is that, turning around and adding glue to everything, so to keep everything from going all over the place, it's a bit of a challenge because sometimes these are not sealed, so sometimes the glue can go all the way through to the bottom. So it's usually a good idea to just do a small amount. We're using a really thick glue, or at least that's what I've found. Because the real thick glue doesn't quite go all the way to the bottom. But it's enough to keep everything solid, at least on the top, which then, since it's not moving, since the stuff on the bottom can't move because of the stuff on the top, it's one of those things of, basically coating everything on the top. Leave nothing to move. And that's how it works for me. I think I would have preferred small bits of metal. But speaking of small bits of metal, I clipped some off. The question is, where do they wind up going? Oh well, they'll be put in another. I got 2 more of these, so I'll probably put those in that. Those I'll probably do off camera because after doing the same exact project after a while, I would assume people would get bored. But having a lot of people in chat does help out keeping people interested. All right. Well, some of this will eventually, sort of seep through and all that, but since it is really, really thick, it might not go all the way down. But if it does, it does. And that's why you turn around and you be sure you put a piece of plastic underneath it. So if it does spill down and all that, it's a lot easier to clean up. All right. Well, all right. So I guess my next plan is to revisit this project with the covered bridge, mainly to turn around and put it on the same base as the other 2 dioramas that I have. And I did, go from work to people who've been on here before have seen what I've used as a base for this. Which is my workplace does mattresses, and they use this, for the rolls of fabric that they have. And eventually they they get crushed, or as you can see, this is not straight anymore. So basically I was able to snag some and all that, and that's what I wound up using as a base for this. But now I'm going to see about turning around and turning around and expanding it for this. Not quite sure how it's going to go at this point, but we'll see eventually. Of course, by that time, this will probably be all dried. If I get, actually, I might actually finish it up next week. Putting the roof on and then repainting it, because of this has to dry, and I'm concentrating on getting my layout up and running, which I have. I got half. It's only 8 foot long, so I actually have it. Half of it wired because it's in 2 sections. But I'm going to have to definitely clean up everything so I can get the layout back onto the work table. If you look back at some of my older ones and all that, you would see the front edge, and then eventually you want see one side, because I was trying to get that fixed, and etc. And that has come off. Well, I got to figure out how to fix that. Let's see how it's slightly warped. Because this bridge is the covered bridge is actually designed to be supposed to be solidly on there, but I wanted to be able to take the rails out, and it's a lot easier to take the rails out and put them back in with the roof off. But that's how that's going to be. All right. Ooh, somebody ruining shorts. All right, let's switch back over to the other camera, since right now I'm assuming you watching bridges, watching glue dry is not the fantastic thing there is. Covered bridges are cool. Yes, they are. However, one of the projects I'm going to be doing, I got all the parts for it and all that. I just got to figure out how to do it. It's what's called a covered truss bridge. The difference on that, it's actually very hard to actually, YouTube is not very good when it comes to trying to find covered truss bridges. Apparently I'm trying to think what it is. It's one of the main 2-footer railways, just refurbished one. But it's a covered truss bridge. Oh, hello there, Joe. Thank you for coming in. All right, now let's go back to the main camera. Okay. Back up here. All right. And the thing is that this is the drill bit that I bought that I needed to drill a hole, but the drill press I have can fit this, but unfortunately all my drills are not this size, so I had to borrow one from work. But I forgot which main 2-footer is, but if you do, unfortunately, when you put into a surge engine covered truss bridge, it winds up being you get all the covered bridges, but then eventually you do get to a point where it shows a covered truss bridge. And a covered truss bridge, basically, if you're looking at it, it looks like two walls, two covered wooden walls, because all it is just covering the trusses. It's not covering the whole bridge. So it lasts longer than a normal uncovered bridge, but it doesn't last as long as a covered bridge because it's not covering over the center section. So it's one of those things of I'm planning on doing one of them because I already done the normal queen post bridge. I've done the covered queen post bridge. Now I'm going to be doing a covered truss queen post bridge. And it's sort of like basically you're building a queen post bridge and then putting siding just over that. So haven't quite figured out exactly how to do that because there's no instructions. But I would have to say right now is basically my plan is to build a normal, well, not quite a normal queen post bridge, and then eventually turn around and go, all right, now that I got the bridge built, now I can turn around and cover it. Basically, you're just using the planks to cover it over, except for the top section, which you actually have to add a slight angle to it so water, snow doesn't collect on it. Like a box cutter in a truss world. I would say unfortunately I'm not quite an expert on metal girders, which I think a box girder is metal. Basically, with a metal bridge, the slap of paint and it lasted a lot longer than a wooden bridge. There was a bridge actually not that far from me that originally was a covered truss bridge, but then when that wound up having to be replaced, they just replaced it with a normal wooden truss bridge. And right now it's off limits because you can't go across it and all that. If I knew, the thing is that the town offices are open when I work, and it's one of those things of when I'm not working, it's like they're closed. So it's like one of those things of how do I say, hey, historically this had a covered truss on it instead of a uncovered truss. So there's no, from my understanding, there's no covered truss bridge in Vermont anymore. They're known for their covered bridges, but there's no covered truss bridge. So it'd be sort of kind of interesting to turn around and use, again, hey, we can restore this back to what it was. It would last slightly longer, but at the same time, it's like I'm not sure if the knowledge of how to put one together is still there. I'm not sure what they had to do different to make it a actual box girder and wood construction, a wall. Okay. All right. Cladded, not classed. Okay. Yep. All right. I'll go with that. But yeah, if somebody wants to, but I mean, it's I'm not sure the 2-foot gauge railroad it is, but they wound up they just recently added the extension or reopened an extension because they had the bridge the bridge was rebuilt and now they can actually use it. And if I remember correctly, it's if you see pictures of it, it's like you just see these two big, huge walls, out in the middle of nowhere, and then you have to realize that, oh, wait a minute, it's actually going over a small creek. But the top of the truss is higher than the locomotives, so the locomotives sort of disappear, and then they come out the other side. I'm trying to think. There are other covered trusses in the country. There are. I want to say they're rare. They're even more. They're even more rare than the covered bridge. Not sure why, unless the covered bridges have the tendency to make it so if it if the weather turns bad and all that, you can go under cover of the bridge, whereas the covered truss, no, you're not gonna you can't go underneath it to hide. But it is look like it's coming up to 7. It's now 7:42, so it's coming up to 7:45. My idea is to there were covers bridges. Yes, there was ones that are that were used by trains. There are 2 left in Vermont. Neither have trains going on them now. I think there's one in New Hampshire that has it's in a historical it's either historical railway or a excursion railway that still has a covered bridge to it. Basically, because the covered bridges, since they're made out of wood, they can't carry much. So usually they were replaced by heavier steel bridges, which don't need to be covered. As far as I know, they never made a covered steel bridge. But it'd be interesting to see one where someone turned around and took the wavy metal siding and put it on the side and covered it that way. But that's the only covered. Yeah, the one in New Hampshire is the only covered bridge that I'm aware of that's still being actively used. The 2 that are in Vermont, both have been I think they've been turned into like a rails to trail program, so you can still access them, but it's the rails have been long gone on them. And it's the covered truss bridge that was just refurbished on the main 2-footer is the only one that I know of an operational covered truss bridge that's for the railroad. There is a website called bridgefinder.com. So it's one of those things that you can actually, go for all the bridges that you can think of. Or at least are there covered bridges outside of New England? Yes. Apparently they're also very popular in Ohio. Ohio and Pennsylvania, I think. There's also ones, Berlin, New York has one. Salem, New York has 2. One is actually set up as they regraded everything, so that wound up being turned into a museum. The other one is I've actually driven across it, so it's still there. I believe it's it's not Eagle Ridge. It's near Eagle Ridge, but it's not the Eagle Ridge one. I forgot exactly the name of it. A lot of the covered bridges actually have their name, have a name of some kind. Yep, there's as I the a lot of the operational cover bridges right now are mostly road bridges, and they're usually uh, sometimes there's and a good portion of them. A lot of them are what basically single lane, but they do have ones that are double laned. There's one that connects between Vermont and New Hampshire, uh, which is the longest one in the Northeast, which is a 2 lane. I mean, it's very large, but it's definitely for road traffic. You can go through, if you get on the Google Maps, you can go, street view through the center of it. They are I guess they have the nickname of double barrel because you have both ways of traffic. But yeah, it's not. The thing is that that particular bridge, because of the state line, because normally, between states or countries and all that, they usually have the center of the waterway as the boundary. Well, one of the compromises for Vermont becoming its own state was that Connecticut would get the entire river. So the border for Connecticut is actually right at the shoreline. So New Hampshire owns the entire Connecticut River. So that means they had to maintain the bridges. Vermont doesn't. So, yeah, it's now 7:48. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if he did a live stream on a bike, but I could. As far as I know, Heath does not have a car. So his vehicle of choice, I guess, is a bicycle, which when you're in New York City, you can do that. A little hair raising in my opinion here with the traffic, but that's me. Yeah, I think it's time to start shutting down and get ready for Nissy to do her thing at Sidetrack Sunday. So I'll give everyone a 10-minute break to do what you have to do, so you're not standing and waiting at the chair the whole entire time. But I guess that'll be it for today. So, of course, I'm blanking on my outro at this point. I think the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Good night, everybody.